Welcome to Math with Miss Grundy. This next video is going to be over percentages. However, before I get started, I just want to clarify. Percentages encompass so much. So, for example, you use percentages when finding interest rate, which is something that you do in 7th grade. You use percentages whenever you are finding tax and discounts, and there are so many different ways to approach percentages. The big thing is that percentages can be expressed as with a percent sign, with a fraction, because remember percents mean out of 100, with a decimal. So I'm going to present two different problems, and I'm going to solve it 3 different ways, each one, and then you can pick the one that you most understand and you think is most helpful to you. There are situations where I use all of them. It just kind of depends on the day, the problem. I am also going to load the steps. However, I'm doing this video before I go work out, and then whenever I get back, I'll load the steps because I have to think of how exactly I want to present them to you guys, considering that there are 3 different ways, and therefore there are 3 different types of sets, and really how I want to explain each set of steps. So with that, we are going to go ahead and start with this type of problem, which is 24% of 50. So you're given the percent and you're given the total. So the first way that you can do this is with a double number line. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my double number line, 100% at the end, and 100% meaning the whole thing, so 50. And 0%, and if I have 0%, I have nothing. And then I'm right here looking for 24%. So I can say, how can I go from 100 to 24%? So I'm going to take 100 and divide it by 24 to figure out what my scale factor is. So 100 divided by 24, we all know will not come out evenly. So you're going to get 4, because 24 goes into 100 4 times. And then I'm going to go ahead and subtract, and I'm left with 4. Add my decimal, bring it up, add a 0, bring it down, and I know that 24 goes into 41 times. Now go ahead and subtract, making sure to borrow my 1 and then replacing the 4 with the 3, because I borrowed that group of 10s and moved it to my 1's place. This is one area where you guys sometimes forget. So I still have 16, so I'm going to bring it down again and add a 0. And 24 goes into 160 6 times. 24 times 6 is 144. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 16, and then it looks like it's about to repeat itself. So my scale factor, or what I'm going to be dividing by, is 4 and 16 hundredths. That also means I now need to divide 50 by 4 and 16 hundredths. So again, off to my side of my paper, 50 divided by 4 and 16 hundredths. If you watched my previous video, then you know that at this point in time, we need to take our decimal, move it twice, then move it twice, add my zeros, and bring it up. So 416 can go into 500 one time. And then I'm going to take and subtract it. So 84, bring down my 0. So it can go in 2 times. 832. One thing that sometimes helps me is listing the multiples down to this side. And just a quick tip for you. Once I subtract this, I get 8, 0, bring it down, 0. So 24% of 50 is 12.0. Add a 0, bring it down. It can go in there one time. So it is about 12 and 1/100. So this is the double number line. Another way that you can do it, and this is the way that I do any percentage that is not easy to get to from 100. So for example, 25% is easy to get to, 50% is easy to get to. I can easily find 10%, I can easily find 1%. 24%, however, I had to do all of this work to get to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break 24% apart into the benchmark percent. So the percents that are really easy to get to. So I know that I can have 10% plus 10%. So right now this would be 20%. Plus 1%, plus 1%, plus 1%, plus 1%. And now I'm going to find what each of these are. So if I have 50, I know that 10% is 5. So I'm writing that directly under my 10%. And then I know that if I have 50, 1% would be 5/10. So I'm adding that in. And now I'm going to add that all together. So 0.5 is 1, 0.5 is 1, 5 and 5 is 10. So I have now 10 plus 1 plus 1, which is 12. So that means that 24% of 50 is 12, which is the same thing that we got here, 12 and 12. The third and final way that you could do it is you could set it up as if they were fractions and ratios. So I have 24, which means out of 100, so 24 over 100, and that should equal blank over 50. So blank out of 50. Remembering that what it takes to make a whole is on the bottom, or my denominator, and what I have is on top, or the numerator. So I'm going to say, how do I go from 100 to 50? I'm going to divide by 2. Therefore, I need to divide the top by 2. 24 divided by 2 is 12. So 24% of 50 is 12. For the double number line, if you have liked using the double number line, you could always go to 10%, which you know is 5, and then go to 20%, which you know is 10, and continue to do that until you get to 24% if this is a tool that you like to use. This is my preferred method. This is what I use whenever I am finding tip and making sure that I know how much my bill potentially is going to be if I go shopping and something's on sale. So this is my preferred method, but again, like I said, you choose whatever works best for you. And then the next type of percent problems that you might see is this number is what percent of this whole number. So 10 is what percent of 50. So if I'm using my first method, I'm going to go ahead and start my double number line, with 50 being the total, or 100%, 0% being 0, and then I'm looking for 10, not 10%, but 10, and that's going to be somewhere in here. So, again, I'm going to scale. How do I go from 50 to 10? I hope you said divide by 5. And therefore, I have to divide 100 by 5. 100 divided by 5 is 20%. So this first way, we got 20%. Let's make sure we get it the other way. So in this way, I broke apart my percent. I can't break apart my percent here because I don't have it. But what I can do is I can find 10%, which is 5, so that's 10%. And I know that I need another 5 to make 10. So if I'm adding another 5, I'm adding 10%. Then I add my percentages together. 10 plus 10 is 20%. So this way we also got 20%. Again, this time, instead of breaking down the percent, I broke down the number that we were looking for the percent of. So I broke down the number that we're finding is the percent of 50. And then finally, the third way to do it is I'm going to set it up as a ratio, and I'm actually going to do it in this space right here. So I'm going to set it up as blank over 100 because I don't know my percent equals 50 is my total and 10 is a portion that I have. So how do I go from 100 to 50? I multiply by 2. Therefore, I have to multiply the top by 2. So 10 times 2 is 20%. Therefore, this way, we also got 20%. Either way that you choose to do it out of the 3 will get you to the same answer. And then from there, you can solve all different types of problems. Perhaps tonight I will make another video about finding the percent and then applying it so that you can find the cost of this sale item. So how much did it really cost? So where you take the total, you find the percent of the total, and then you subtract what the percent is from the total to find your new total. If that was confusing, leave a comment and I can clarify, or a question. Also, if there is anything else that you potentially would like a video of tonight, please go ahead and leave a comment. Subscribe, that way you can see whenever I post new videos so that you can watch them if they pertain to you. Like it if you like the video. And have a great evening and go confident in knowing that you have the knowledge and the power you need to do well tomorrow on SBAC. Thanks for joining me on Math with Miss Grundy.